My name is Marina Caldwell. I'm 28 and I own a condo downtown. Glass walls, poured concrete, sharp edges, clean geometry. The kind of place that looks like it was designed by someone who values efficiency over sleep. That isn't a criticism, it's intentional. It's a reflection of how I live. I've been grinding since college, moving forward in measured steps, stacking progress on top of progress. I started out as a junior developer making $55,000 a year, watching every expense, optimizing everything I could control. By the time I hit 28, I was earning $160,000 plus equity, the kind of compensation that feels abstract until you realize you've stopped checking prices in grocery stores and you no longer flinch at unexpected bills. I fit the tech stereotype almost perfectly, except people never expect it to be worn by a woman. 3 monitors angled just right, a custom-built PC, a mechanical keyboard collection that makes visitors stare like I've confessed to collecting endangered species. My gaming setup costs more than most people's cars, and my condo used to look like a Best Buy showroom collided with a minimalist design magazine. Functional, cold, precise. Exactly how I liked it. The only indulgence I allow myself is my keyboards. Everything else serves a purpose. I started with a basic Corsair like everyone does, but curiosity turned into obsession. Custom builds followed. Premium switches, hand-lubed stabilizers, keycaps that cost more than some people's rent. I have 12 boards now, each tuned for a specific task. Linear reds for gaming, tactile browns for long coding sessions, a vintage IBM model that sounds like a machine gun when you type, loud and unapologetic, like it's furious at the modern world. My friends call it excessive. I call it control. And if you're wondering why control matters to me, you'll understand soon enough. I met Dylan Chen when I was 26 at a hiking meetup. He was the same age, working as a marketing manager at a startup, carrying himself with that effortless confidence that pulls people in before they realize it's happening. He was photogenic in a way that felt deliberate, always knowing which angle worked best, how to tilt his head so the light hit his cheekbones just right. He ran a lifestyle Instagram, not casual snapshots, but a carefully constructed brand, curated captions, strategically timed stories. 40,000 followers who consumed his living my best life narrative like it was oxygen. Brunch spreads, boutique workout classes, travel shots that looked expensive even when they weren't. Every image felt intentional, and when Dylan looked at you, it felt intentional too. At first, he seemed genuinely interested in me, asked thoughtful questions about my work, listened when I talked about systems and code, laughed at my dry, understated humor. On our first date, he chose an upscale Italian restaurant downtown, Il Broco, the kind of place where the cheapest pasta costs $38 and the staff treats water like it's a tasting experience. The bill came to $380 for 2 people. I paid without hesitation because I could afford it, and because at the time he felt rare. He ordered bronzino with truffle risotto, a bottle of wine that cost more than my first car payment, and an espresso martini for dessert. Then he spent most of the evening angling his phone, adjusting lighting, waiting for the perfect overhead shot while the food cooled. I didn't mind then. I told myself he was creative, driven, ambitious. Looking back now, it glows like a warning sign in neon. I was paying to exist in the background of someone else's life. Things escalated quickly. Within 3 months, Dylan was staying at my place most nights. He never officially moved in. He kept his apartment across town, citing independence and space. But his belongings began creeping into my condo like an invasive species. Face serums lined my bathroom counter, designer clothes claimed 2/3 of my closet, oat milk monopolized my fridge. The calm, controlled space I'd curated slowly transformed into something that looked like Sephora detonated inside a West Elm catalog. Hair ties appeared everywhere, on my desk, tangled in keyboard cables, looping around my mouse like they belonged there. I once found one inside my desktop PC. I still don't know how it got there. Makeup multiplied. False eyelashes clung to my monitor. Lipstick showed up in my gaming chair cup holder. Nail polish remover spilled and ate through the finish on my coffee table. And the worst part is that I told myself it meant I wasn't alone anymore. Sometimes he worked from my condo, taking over the dining table with his laptop and a ring light. I'd sit at my desk writing code that kept other people's systems from collapsing, while he filmed himself stirring coffee and pretending the moment was spontaneous. He made my space feel busy, active, alive. But life has weight, and Dylan's version of life always came with a bill. He never paid for dates, not once in 2 years. When the check arrived, he'd suddenly be absorbed in his phone or excuse himself to the bathroom with uncanny timing. I covered utilities and expenses because he was around so often. His contribution amounted to the occasional grocery run, which he later cited repeatedly as proof he was pulling his weight. Those groceries were usually organic items that rotted untouched while he ordered delivery, then blamed me for wasting food. His Instagram was a non-stop production. Every moment had to be captured, edited, shared. He made me retake photos dozens of times until the aesthetic was right. Once, we spent 45 minutes in a restaurant trying to get the perfect shot of him holding a cocktail while the ice melted into a watery disappointment. The captions were always about him. Treating myself, living my truth, self-care Sunday. I was usually cropped out, reduced to a blurred hand or a shoulder. Never my face, never my name. The closest I came was my favorite human, no tag, like I was an idea instead of a person. When I finally asked why he never tagged me, he didn't even look up. He said his followers connected with his authentic individual journey, and that too much couple content diluted the message. His message mattered more than my existence. My best friend Nadia saw through him immediately. She works in cybersecurity, lives 2 buildings over, and reads people the way others read source code. The first time she met Dylan, he barely acknowledged her, too busy rearranging plates for better lighting and asking servers about sunlight like restaurants kept spare weather in storage. Later, she told me he was using me like a bank account with a pulse. I brushed it off. Denial was easier than admitting I'd volunteered for my own disrespect. She pulled up his Instagram and showed me a brunch post where he'd tagged the restaurant, the mimosa brand, his nail salon, the boutique he shopped at. Not me. I laughed it off, telling myself Nadia was projecting because her ex had burned her during the crypto crash. But Dylan never stopped revealing exactly who he was. He mocked my hobbies, called my keyboard collection pointless, suggested I redirect that money into experiences we could share, by which he meant expensive trips he could photograph. He criticized my clothes, tried to reshape my style to fit his aesthetic, designer streetwear for his feed. I'm a software engineer who works from home. Hoodies and joggers aren't a phase, they're peace. The worst part was how he treated service staff, snapping fingers, sending food back for imaginary flaws, leaving 1-star reviews if things weren't perfect. Once, he reduced a 19-year-old barista to tears over foam texture. I apologized and tipped extra after he stormed out. He said that's how you get good service, that you have to train people to respect you. Looking back, I was the one being trained. Dylan's birthday landed on March 15th. He planned it for weeks, rented a rooftop bar called Sky Lounge, invited 50 people, hired a photographer for candid shots that were anything but candid. He built a Pinterest board with 17 vibe references, created a 3-page shot list, chose a signature cocktail to match his outfit. It wasn't a birthday party, it was a content shoot with witnesses. And I handled the money. The venue deposit alone was $2,500. The bar minimum was $3,000. The custom cake cost $400 with edible gold leaf and fresh flowers. On top of that, a MacBook Pro he'd been hinting at, $2,800. A designer watch he'd conveniently left open on my laptop, $1,600. More than $10,000 for a single night. I transferred the money from savings without hesitation, even though it represented months of disciplined investing toward my independence, because I loved him, or maybe because I loved the version of myself who believed love could be earned. The party started at 7. I arrived early to help, but Dylan was already in host mode, surrounded by his inner circle. He barely noticed me, offering a quick cheek kiss that was really just a pose for the photographer stationed near the entrance. He told the photographer to capture the arrival energy. The night blurred into open bars and curated laughter. Dylan rotated through groups like he was collecting evidence of popularity. I stood near the railing with Nadia, watching the city glow while his friends demolished top-shelf liquor. Nadia asked quietly how much it was costing me. I told her not to worry because I couldn't say the number without hearing how insane it sounded. She asked when the last time was that Dylan enjoyed something without documenting it. I couldn't remember. Around 10, Dylan climbed onto a chair to give a speech, champagne raised, friends clustered around him like disciples, the photographer circling like a satellite. He'd already changed outfits twice. This was the third look, a dark suit with a gold chain catching the city light perfectly. He spoke in sentences that sounded like captions, thanked people in vague, performative ways, then smiled and said he wanted to be real with everyone. People leaned in, hungry for authenticity. My stomach tightened. He talked about looking at his life and wondering what it might have been like if he'd made different choices, if he'd never met certain people who held him back from his potential. Nadia's hand closed around my wrist like a warning. Dylan paused for dramatic effect. The photographer moved for a better angle. "I wish," Dylan said, voice smooth, "I'd never met some of you." Nervous laughter fluttered, confused. Then Dylan looked straight at me. 50 faces turned in unison like a spotlight. "My life would be perfect," Dylan said, "if I could erase some mistakes, if I could go back and choose better, choose someone who actually added value instead of just existing in my space." Silence. I could hear traffic below, the hum of AC units, someone's phone camera whirring as it recorded my reaction. Dylan's closest friends smirked into their drinks. This was content gold, public humiliation with a skyline backdrop. And the strange thing, I didn't feel anger, I felt clarity, cold, bright, unmistakable, like finally spotting the bug in code you've been staring at for months. I pulled out my phone and opened my payment app. Right there in front of everyone, I requested $10,000 from Dylan. Description: birthday party expenses, venue, bar, tab, cake, gifts, per your wish. His phone buzzed loudly in the silence. His smile cracked. Confusion, then horror. "What are you doing?" he hissed, trying to keep his voice low, forgetting the rooftop had turned into a theater. "Granting your wish," I said, clearly loud enough for everyone to hear. "You wanted to erase me from your life? Consider it done." A gasp. Someone muttered, "Oh." The photographer kept snapping. I stepped back, set my champagne down untouched, and walked away. No jacket, no goodbye. Just me moving through the crowd while Dylan stood on that chair with his perfect night collapsing around him. Nadia caught up at the elevator. "Marina, are you okay?" I looked at the closing doors, at Dylan's stunned face shrinking in the gap. "I'm great," I said, because in that moment I understood something simple and terrifying. If Dylan wanted me gone, I was going to disappear so completely he'd doubt I ever existed. The next morning, I woke up with the kind of clarity that feels almost supernatural. No hangover, no regret, no "maybe I overreacted," because I hadn't. I'd had one drink all night, enough to hold a glass when the photographer's camera swung past me, not enough to blur the memory of Dylan's eyes finding mine while he said I was a mistake. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling of my condo, listening to the faint hum of the city outside the windows, and I realized something that made my chest go quiet. He didn't just insult me, he rewrote me right there in front of 50 people. He reduced 2 years of my life to a punchline in his content reel. And if Dylan wanted me gone, I could do it better than he ever could. Because Dylan's erasing was emotional, dramatic, performative. Mine was systematic. I got out of bed, padded barefoot across the polished floor to my desk, and sat in front of my monitors like I was clocking in for work. My mechanical keyboard clicked under my fingers, steady, calm, almost soothing. I build databases for a living. I design systems that track millions of data points. And I know the truth most people forget. If you control the records, you control reality. First stop, social media. Dylan had tagged me in things sometimes, just enough for plausible deniability, never enough to make me real to his followers. I opened Instagram and scrolled through his feed like I was reviewing logs after a breach. There were posts from trips where my face was half cut out, a blurred shoulder behind his candid laugh, stories where my hand was holding his drink like I was a prop stand, captions about my favorite human like I was a pet. I didn't delete anything. Deleting is loud. Deleting is an admission. Instead, I chose something more elegant. I changed my profile name to deleted account 510000H04 and replaced my profile photo with the gray default icon. No face, no name, no identity, just placeholder. Then I went post by post. Every comment I'd ever left on Dylan's page, I edited them into nonsense strings. 839473922. Comment removed. Deleted user 1099018014. The effect was immediate and unsettling. 2 years of couple content now looked like Dylan had been performing romance with a ghost account, like he'd been dating someone who vanished off the internet, leaving only static where a person used to be. My fingers moved fast, precise. Click, edit, save. Next. I did the same on every platform where my name touched his. Facebook profile changed, photos untagged, history blurred. TikTok, comments edited, likes removed, tags stripped. Even LinkedIn, because Dylan had once posted a power couple humble brag about my partner in tech and tagged me for exactly 3 hours before removing it. I found it and shared reposts and cleaned it like it was contaminated. Then I went deeper, shared Google Photos albums. We had a few vacations, hiking trips. That weekend he insisted we rent a cabin just so he could film cozy morning content. I downloaded them and I opened Photoshop for 6 hours straight. I did something that would have made my past self pause. I removed myself from every picture, not just cropping. Cropping leaves edges, evidence, shadows. I used content-aware fill, layered edits, subtle blending. In photo after photo, Dylan was suddenly alone, at restaurants, smiling at empty chairs, on trails, holding his arm out like someone was there, at the beach, laughing at nothing. It didn't look like a breakup, it looked like a delusion. And the sickest part, Dylan had built his brand on the illusion that his life was perfect. Now the illusion was going to turn on him. When I finished, I uploaded the edited versions back into the shared albums, replacing the originals. The system synced automatically. His phone would update with the new history like it had always been that way. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the screen. My reflection in the glass of the monitor looked calm, almost clinical. That was when my phone buzzed. A text from Dylan from a number I hadn't blocked yet. Dylan, Marina, what the hell was that last night? Dylan, you embarrassed me. Dylan, everyone is asking questions. Dylan, get back here and fix it. I didn't respond. I blocked his number. Then I blocked him everywhere else. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, WhatsApp, email, even Venmo. Even the stupid shared calendar invite he once sent me for content planning. If there was a digital doorway between us, I closed it. Then came the part that required finesse, witnesses. Digital trails are one thing, human memory is another, and Dylan had 50 witnesses at that rooftop bar. People who'd watched him humiliate me, people who'd been filming, laughing, texting group chats while I stood there like a target. If I was going to erase myself, I needed them aligned. I called Nadia first. She picked up on the second ring. "Tell me you didn't cry in your pillow all night." "I didn't," I said. There was a pause, like she was checking for tremor in my voice. "What are you doing, Marina?" "I need you to do something weird," I said, staring at my screen. "And I need you to trust me." Nadia exhaled. "I already don't like this." "If Dylan asks about me," I said, "about us dating, tell him you don't know what he's talking about." Silence. Then, "Oh." Not as a joke, I added, as fact, confused, calm like you've never seen him in your life. "Marina," Nadia said slowly, "are you trying to gaslight him?" "I'm not gaslighting anyone," I replied. My voice didn't even wobble. "I'm granting a wish." "What wish?" "The one he made in front of 50 people. I could still hear Dylan's voice, smooth and cruel. "I wish I'd never met you." Nadia's tone sharpened. "You're serious." "I've never been more serious." Another beat. Then Nadia laughed once, short, dark. "This is vicious." "It's thorough." "And you want me in?" "I want you to be honest," I said. Honest the way Dylan was honest last night. Nadia went quiet, and I thought for a second she might refuse. Then she said, "Okay, tell me what to say." I closed my eyes, letting relief move through me like a clean line of code compiling. "Say you've never met him," I told her. "Say you've only ever known me as single. If he pushes, suggest he might have me confused with someone else." Nadia hummed. "He's going to freak out." "He already did," I said. "He just did it with a photographer." "All right," she said. "I'm in." "And Marina?" "Yes." "Don't blink." "I won't." After Nadia, I called the rest. My coworkers who'd seen Dylan of company happy hours. My neighbor across the hall who'd watched him come and go like he owned the place. Even my building's front desk staff. I didn't tell everyone the whole story at first. I learned quickly that people respond better to a clean narrative. So, I said, "He publicly humiliated me. I'm cutting ties. If he reaches out, I need you to tell him we were never together." Most people paused, startled. A few asked, "Isn't that extreme?" Then I said calmly, "He said he wished he'd never met me. I'm respecting his wishes. Please help me close the door." And then something interesting happened. They didn't hesitate, because Dylan had never been kind. My coworker, James, chuckled into the phone. "Thank God, we've been wondering when you'd realize he was using you." "James," I warned. "No, seriously," he said. "He cornered me at the holiday party and spent 20 minutes explaining his engagement strategy. Not one question about me, just him." My HR acquaintance, Sarah, said, "Finally." He made our intern cry once by criticizing her outfit like it was a moral failing. My neighbor said, "That guy, he always looked through me like I was furniture." Even the front desk attendant, Carlos, who'd been polite to Dylan for months, muttered, "He never says thank you, always acts like we owe him." It was like the minute I gave people permission to be honest, the truth spilled out. Dylan hadn't just been draining me, he'd been draining the room. I typed notes as I talked. Who was in, who needed more context, who might crack under pressure. By lunchtime, my condo felt like a command center, monitors glowing, tabs open, a list of names, a list of instructions, a plan. Then I turned to physical evidence, everything Dylan had ever given me. There wasn't much. A Patagonia jacket for Christmas that I'd picked out and paid half for, a fancy cutting board he'd bought after I hinted at it 3 times, a couple of airport books, a photo print he insisted we hang because it looked editorial. I walked through my condo with a box and gloves, like I was collecting hazardous materials. I stripped the space of him, his scented candle gone, His hoodie he left here, gone. The extra phone charger, gone. The gold tone picture frame he picked for aesthetic, gone. It was strangely satisfying watching my home return to itself, like my walls could breathe again. I labeled the box Donations and drove it to a Goodwill across town. Dropped it off without ceremony, no dramatic pause, no tears. Then I came home and changed my locks. Dylan didn't have a key. That wasn't why I did it. It was symbolic, completion. A locksmith installed the smart lock system with a new code. I watched him work, listened to the click of mechanisms, and felt something in my chest lock into place too. When he left, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I didn't answer. I blocked it. Another number blocked. Dylan was already cycling through phones like a telemarketer trying to reach a customer who'd canceled service. I didn't flinch, because now I was in the part of the story that Dylan didn't understand. He thought relationships ended with a fight, with tears, with closure. He didn't know what it looked like when someone decided to disappear. Then I made the final call of the day. Sky Lounge, the venue. I put them on speaker while I sat at my desk, hands folded, voice steady. Sky Lounge, how can I help you? Hi, I said pleasantly. I'm calling about the birthday event booked under Dylan Chen. There seems to be confusion about who's responsible for charges. The manager sounded cautious. Ma'am, the contract is signed. By Dylan, I cut in softly. Exactly. He booked it. He's responsible. A pause. I'm not his girlfriend, I continued. He told people I would cover costs, but we don't have that relationship. We've actually never dated. Silence on the other end. He said you'd pay. I'm sure he did, I said, and my voice didn't change. He also publicly stated he wished he'd never met me, so I'm respecting his wishes by removing myself completely. I emailed them a short clip I'd saved from someone's Instagram story. Dylan's speech, my name in the air like a knife.
As you can see, I said, he doesn't want me involved. The manager cleared his throat. We'll follow up with Mr. Chen directly. Perfect, I replied. Thank you so much. When the call ended, I stared at my monitors. 2 years, 1,000 little compromises, countless checks I paid without complaint, a party I funded like I was buying my way into being valued. And in one speech, Dylan had given me permission to stop. My phone buzzed again, another unknown number lighting up the screen. I blocked it. I stood up, walked into my kitchen, poured a glass of water, and drank it slowly, like I was sealing a decision in my body. Outside, the city kept moving. Cars, lights, people. And somewhere out there, Dylan was waking up to a world where I no longer existed. I leaned against the counter and whispered to myself, almost amused by the calm in my voice. Careful what you wish for. Dylan's spiral didn't start loudly. It started quietly, like most system failures do when the inputs stopped matching the expected outputs. At first, it was just confusion, texts from new numbers, voicemails that started angry and ended pleading, emails sent to addresses I no longer checked, bouncing back unanswered. He tried urgency, then guilt, then outrage. Dylan, Marina, this is immature. Dylan, I was drunk. You know how my friends are. Dylan, people are asking why you vanished. Dylan, answer me. I didn't. By day 3, he stopped sounding offended and started sounding unsettled, because when he asked people about me, about us, the answers didn't line up with his memories. Nadia played her part perfectly. He cornered her outside a gym, voice tight with forced casualness. Hey, Marina's not answering me. You know how she gets when she's mad. Nadia frowned like she was trying to place him. Marina? Yes, Marina, your friend. My friend Marina? She repeated slowly. I don't think so. He laughed, sharp and disbelieving. Okay, very funny. I'm serious, Nadia said. I don't really know you. I met you once at some party, right? Dylan's smile froze. What are you talking about? He snapped. We dated for 2 years. Nadia tilted her head, concerned. I think you might be confusing Marina with someone else. She's been single as long as I've known her. He walked away from that conversation shaken, already rewriting it in his head as denial, spite, loyalty to me, until it kept happening. My coworker James told him kindly, "I've never seen Marina with a boyfriend." My neighbor said, "You must have the wrong unit, she lives alone." Carlos at the front desk blinked at him blankly. "Sir, I don't recall you." And the worst part? No one laughed, no one winked, no one broke character. They weren't mocking him, they were confused. That's when Dylan's Instagram changed. The polished lifestyle stories stopped, the black screens with white text. Has anyone ever felt like they imagined an entire relationship? Is it possible to create false memories under stress? Asking for a friend. Followers commented with concern. Some joked, some suggested therapy. Brands stopped reaching out. Engagement dipped. And then the bill arrived. Sky Lounge sent it directly to his apartment. $5,000. No shared payment. No auto draft from my account. Just his name, his signature, his responsibility. He called them screaming. They calmly explained. He threatened legal action. They offered a payment plan. By week 2, Dylan showed up at my building. I watched the security feed from my couch, cereal bowl in my lap. He stood at the front desk, gesturing wildly. "I'm her boyfriend. I've been here hundreds of times." Carlos checked his log with exaggerated care. "I don't have any record of that, sir." "You know me," Dylan insisted. "She brought you coffee. You talked about your daughter." Carlos looked genuinely sympathetic. "I think you have me confused with someone else." Dylan's hands started shaking. He pulled out his phone, scrolling frantically, trying to find proof. Photos loaded. Every image showed him alone, a gray icon where I should have been. "See," he said, voice cracking. "She's right here." Carlos leaned in, squinting. "That's a deleted account." "No," Dylan whispered. "No, that's her." I muted the feed. That night, he tried another route. A fake account messaged me. "Truth is Seeker 23. Please just tell me I'm not crazy. We dated, right?" I stared at the screen longer than I meant to, because for the first time, his panic felt real, not performative, not strategic, human. A week later, a letter arrived. Handwritten, careful, shaking. He listed memories, details no algorithm could invent. Trips, jokes, the way I'd tap his shoulder when he got too loud filming, the way my keyboard sounded different depending on the room. He wrote, "I know what I said was wrong. I didn't mean it. I never wanted you erased." I held the paper until my fingers hurt. Then I remembered the rooftop, the laughter, the camera pointed at my face, the sentence he chose because it sounded powerful. "I wish I'd never met you." I burned the letter in my sink, collected the ashes, mailed them back in a plain envelope with a single printed line, "Per your wish." After that, Dylan disappeared from the internet, deleted his Instagram, then his LinkedIn. His brand collapsed under the weight of a story no one could verify. According to Nadia, who heard it from someone who heard it from someone, he moved back to his hometown, started therapy, lost his job after a breakdown at work. His sister called me once from a blocked number. "You destroyed him," she said through tears. "No," I replied evenly. I believed him. 6 months later, I ran into one of his friends at a bar. She squinted at me, drunk and angry. "What you did to Dylan was messed up." "I don't know a Dylan," I said calmly. Her face went pale. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You're still doing it." I finished my drink and left. Here's the truth people don't like to hear. I didn't ruin Dylan's life. I removed myself from it. He did the rest alone in a world where words matter and witnesses remember. I still live in my condo. My keyboards still click. My space is quiet again. And I've learned something priceless. When someone tells you they wish you'd never existed, believe them and be thorough.